Welcome back, my friends. Please consider subscribing. Today we go into the Mackenzie Shirilla case.
Where's Mackenzie's mom?
Okay, they're down at Metro right now.
Okay.
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 The other two passengers, like I said, was Davion and who we believe is Dominic. Okay.
Okay.
From what Mackenzie told us.
Okay.
Okay. Both Davion and Dominic are deceased.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Christine.
Oh God. Oh God.
Sit down.
Oh God.
Just sit down.
Oh my God.
Kristen's gonna come outside.
That's okay.
Christine.
Yes, just take a deep breath. It's okay.
Oh my God.
No.
Christine,
Just
Christine.
No.
Please.
No. He can't be. What did she do?
Christine.
What did she
It
do?
would be best.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is there somebody else we can call for you?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is there somebody we can call for you? Okay, wait. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Wait.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
Why don't you have a seat? Here, sit down. You sit there, that's fine.
Oh my God! Why would this happen? Where were they going?
Why don't you have a seat?
We don't
Yeah,
know
we
that
don't
right now,
yet.
Christine.
But can we
Christine.
get somebody else for you at this point?
Is there somebody, any other family
That we
members?
can contact?
On July 31st of 2022, the quiet Cleveland suburb of Strongsville, Ohio, was forever changed. At 5:34 a.m., a Toyota Camry was seen flying down an empty industrial road at speeds topping 100 miles per hour. Seconds later, it slammed head-on into a brick warehouse building with such force that the car crumpled instantly. Inside were three young people. Two of them, 20-year-old Dominic Russo and 19-year-old Davion Flanagan, were killed instantly. The third, the driver, was 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla. Against all odds, she survived, with serious injuries. At first glance, the crash looked like a horrific accident, another tragic case of teenage recklessness. But as investigators dug deeper, what they found told a very different story. Data from the car, evidence from the scene, and the history of the people involved all began to point towards something chilling: that Mackenzie hadn't lost control of her car. Prosecutors said she had deliberately turned it into a weapon. By the summer of 2023, Mackenzie Shirilla stood trial, not just for reckless driving, but for murder. This is the story of that night, the investigation that followed, the trial that gripped the country, and the lingering questions about how justice should be handled when the accused is a teenager, and when three families are destroyed in a single instant. It was early morning, July 31st, 2022. The roads in Strongsville were mostly empty. This wasn't a highway or a busy street. Progress Drive, where the crash took place, is a stretch of road in an industrial park, lined with warehouses, parking lots, and businesses that wouldn't open until much later in the day. At around 5:30 a.m., surveillance cameras capture Mackenzie's black Toyota Camry barreling down the street. In the footage, the car doesn't slow down, doesn't swerve, it doesn't brake. It accelerates to more than 100 miles per hour, and then in a matter of seconds, it slams directly into the side of a brick warehouse. The impact was catastrophic. Both Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan were both unalived instantly. Mackenzie was knocked unconscious. Her body was battered and broken, but alive. First responders had cut her out of the wreckage. She was rushed to a hospital where she would remain for weeks, recovering. News of the crash quickly spread through Strongsville. For Dominic and Davion's family, grief set in immediately. For Mackenzie's family, shock was mixed with relief that she had survived. At first, many assumed this was a tragedy caused by teenage recklessness, a late-night drive gone horribly wrong. But investigators were already beginning to suspect that this was no ordinary accident. From the very beginning, detectives treated the crash with suspicion. The road was straight, the weather was clear, there was no signs of sudden swerving, no skid marks, no attempt to brake. The most telling evidence came from the event data recorder, the so-called black box built into the car. The device showed that in the final moments before impact, Mackenzie's foot was pressed all the way down on the accelerator, 100% throttle. At the same time, there was no sign that the brakes had ever been applied. That meant one of two things. Either Mackenzie had completely lost control of herself, or she made the choice to drive full speed into a building. Investigators also examined the physical evidence. A fuzzy slipper was found near the pedals, raising the question of whether Mackenzie's shoe had gotten stuck. But a forensic expert later ruled this out. The slipper hadn't jammed the pedal. Mackenzie's foot had been pressing it deliberately. Toxicology reports revealed THC in her system, showing that she had used marijuana. Police also found mushrooms and a digital scale inside the car. These findings suggested drug use was part of the night, though they couldn't explain away the data showing purposeful acceleration. Then there was the relationship history. Mackenzie and Dominic had been dating, but friends and family described their relationship as toxic, volatile, and sometimes violent. Witnesses said there were fights, threats, and periods of instability. Prosecutors would later argue that this relationship turmoil was key to Mackenzie's mindset the night of the crash. Taken together, the evidence pointed a disturbing picture. This wasn't just reckless speeding. This was, in the eyes of investigators, intentional murder. By November 2022, prosecutors charged Mackenzie with multiple serious offenses. The charges included 2 counts of murder. The most shocking part of the indictment was that the prosecutors weren't just framing this as a reckless driving. They were saying outright that Mackenzie had intentionally killed her boyfriend and his friend by turning her car into a weapon. Because of the severity of the charges, Mackenzie, though 17 at the time of the crash, was tried as an adult. The trial began in the summer of 2023. Unlike many high-profile cases, this one was decided not by a jury, but by a bench trial. That means the decision was in the hands of a single judge, the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge Nancy Margaret Russo. Over several days, the court heard testimony from forensic experts, investigators, and witnesses who knew Mackenzie and Dominic. The evidence centered on 3 main points. 1, the event data recorder showing 100% throttle and no brakes. The absence of mechanical failure or obstruction. The history of Mackenzie and Dominic's tumultuous relationship. The defense tried to cast doubt, suggesting that Mackenzie may have passed out, that her shoe could have slipped, or that her mental and physical state that night left her incapable of forming intent. But Judge Russo wasn't convinced in her ruling. She described Mackenzie's actions as controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. She said the evidence showed Mackenzie was fully aware of what she was doing. On August 14, 2023, Judge Russo found Mackenzie guilty on all counts. The following week, Mackenzie returned to court for sentencing.
There was no mechanical failure of the car. The record is clear on the facts and the evidence. Her mother's uncorroborated statements without any medical testimony or records is not persuasive. It is also important to remember that even if Mackenzie intended to also die in this crash, that is irrelevant. A failed suicide attempt is not a defense to murder. And even in attempt, when the perpetrator executing the plan survives, the other death or deaths are still. There's only one person who's responsible for the pain of everyone in this room, and that person is you, Mackenzie. Nobody else is responsible. This isn't the fault of Dominic's family, or Davion's family, or your family. And I know that each of you have asked your questions to yourselves, what if? What if I had done this or that? The truth of it is, none of us can control the intentions of another. And when there is a purposeful intent to harm or kill someone, it is the perpetrator alone who bears the responsibility for the choice and the consequences and the harm that follows. The difficulty for sentencing today, honestly, is whether or not I believe you should get consecutive sentences. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence, that people will believe that somehow I'm being disrespectful to one of the victims. And on the other hand, I have to weigh the punishment. There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. That won't be up to me. That will be up to the parole board, and that will be up to you to a great extent. I understand that the pain in this room wants me to impose the harshest sentence, but I don't believe that would be the appropriate sentence, because I do believe that Mackenzie will not be out in 15 years. So she's sentenced on count 2, Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other with credit for time served. I'll waive fines, fees, and costs, and your appellate counsel will be assigned. Are there any questions from the state?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
You're innocent.
Judge Russo sentenced her to 2 concurrent life sentences with parole eligibility after 15 years. That means Mackenzie will spend at least 15 years in prison before she has a chance at release. She will be in her early 30s when that possibility arrives. The judge acknowledged Mackenzie's young age, but said the deliberate nature of her actions left no room for leniency. In her words, this was not reckless driving. This was... The case quickly spread across the internet. True crime forums, TikTok creators, and YouTube channels all dissected the evidence, debated Mackenzie's guilt, and speculated about her motives. Adding fuel to the conversation was body cam footage released from the day Mackenzie was arrested. In the footage, Mackenzie cries as she's placed in handcuffs, but also complains about her bracelet and appears more concerned about her jewelry than the charges she's facing. For many viewers, this came across as cold and self-absorbed. Others defended her, pointed out that she was a teenager under extreme stress, traumatized, and not fully comprehending the situation. The footage sparked intense debate online about Mackenzie's character, her remorse, and whether she was capable of rehabilitation. Mackenzie's legal journey isn't over. Her defense team has already filed appeals, arguing that key medical evidence was ignored during trial. They claim Mackenzie may have suffered a sudden medical episode or loss of consciousness, making the crash accidental rather than intentional. Her parents have spoken publicly, insisting their daughter is innocent and that new evidence proves it, but so far the courts haven't agreed. In 2024, the Ohio 8th District Court of Appeals upheld her conviction, affirming Judge Russo's findings. For now, Mackenzie remains behind bars, serving her sentence. Yes, Mackenzie Shirilla is appealing her convictions. She recently had a judge deny her petition for a new trial, and her attorney stated they would appeal that ruling, which was the second legal defeat in as many days after the Ohio Supreme Court denied a separate appeal of her conviction in April 2025. This case is heartbreaking from every angle. 2 young men, Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan, lost their lives in an instant. Their families face an unimaginable loss that no sentence can ever make whole. Mackenzie Shirilla, meanwhile, faces life in prison for choices she made at just 17. Whether one sees her as a calculating murderer or a reckless teenager, the fact remains 3 families were shattered that morning in Strongsville. This case raises difficult questions. Should teenagers who commit violent crime be punished as adults? Is intent always clear when emotions, relationships, and mental health are involved? And is 15 years enough time to determine whether someone so young can be rehabilitated? The story of Mackenzie Shirilla is a tragic collision of youth, recklessness, and violence. A car crash that looked like an accident revealed itself, through evidence, to be something more sinister. The courts have ruled that it was murder. Mackenzie's family insists it was not. The appeals will continue, but what will never change is this: 2 young lives were lost, and 1 young life was permanently altered. The ripple effects of that morning will echo for decades. In Strongsville, in the families of Dominic and Davion, and in the prison now where Mackenzie now serves her time. And for the rest of us, this case serves as a grim reminder of how one decision made in a moment can change everything forever.